friends, and welcome back to another episode of your Bish Therapist podcast. And today I am so happy to have two of my favorite and your favorite people back on the show, Lyndsay and Brady from Rodeo. Welcome, friends.
Hello.
Hello.
We're so excited to be back.
Yeehaw. We're back.
Feels like home, honestly.
That makes me feel so happy. And I was telling you before, I love legitimately you two and Mandy. I just love podcasting with you so much. It does. It feels like sometimes I get really frustrated about like the Bravoverse, especially with all the stuff going on in the Valley, right? I'm like, this has gotten so ugly, but then we get together, Mandy and I get together, and it just gives me like a sense of renewal about what we're doing, you know?
Because you can find the fun in it. When you're chit-chatting with your friends about something, you can really find those fun areas where when you're watching it alone, you're like, this feels like torture.
Literal torture.
Like, I just feel not great about this.
I felt like Daddy Baskin had me strapped onto a chair with my eyes open, forcing me to watch The Valley.
Clockwork Orange.
Yes. I was like, this is why I have not been watching The Valley, because my insides actually hurt, because what is the darkness that is going on in these hills of the Valley?
Melissa, you should be so honored. We both tuned into The Valley for you. That's how much we love you and your podcast, Your Bish Therapist. We submitted ourselves to that suffering.
Well, and that's how much I love Mandy too, because I was on her podcast last week and we talked about the first episode of the Valley reunion. And I was like, oh my goodness.
See, I got to tune that one out.
But that one, I was like, haha, bravo, you're not getting my clicks because I watched someone stream it. And I only watched kind of like clips of it too. Like I didn't watch the whole thing. So it's like, bravo, you will not get my view.
You know what?
You
it's
really
funny?
showed it.
Lyndsay, my therapist and I call that reasonable accommodations.
Yes.
So, we have this phrase for things that it helps to remind me that, listen, there might be certain things that you got to do, but you do make reasonable accommodations and do them so it works and matches with your mental health and your capabilities. So kudos to you. And
thank you.
I want to thank you for watching it, but also I feel like I'm sorry because I feel like
No, it was fine. I needed to know. I needed to just know. I needed to recheck in on how awful things were over in the Valley. So.
I needed to be reminded.
and you are now.
Yes.
Oh, I learned. About 3 minutes into the episode, I was like, oh yeah, this is why.
You're like, this is why we hate the show. No, listen, I totally understand. So for those of you listening today, we're going to talk The Valley, of course, reunion part 2. We're also going to talk about Real Housewives of Orange County. And we're going to talk a little bit about some mean girl behavior, aka relational aggression. And, I feel like I have a lot to say about Teddy and Tamra and, being a cancer survivor. I have some thoughts on that. But first we were so for those of you listening, Lyndsay and I were just talking about how you just started watching Real Housewives of Miami, but from season 1.
Yes. So y'all, I have just finished. I went on a Southern Charm journey. So I have now watched every episode of Southern Charm and I absolutely love it.
Bro, I told you.
I know. It's so
good.
It's so good. And what's the best is I hate every single one of them on the show. They're all terrible and I just eat it up. Like, you're not going to see me. Like, they'll have moments where I'm like, yes, but ultimately they're all terrible and it just is amazing. So I finished that and I was like, what should I watch next? Because with the Housewives, I've seen just a lot of like Housewives, but not consistently like all their seasons. So I was like, where should I go? And people were like, you got to watch Miami. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not the type where if I'm going to start something, I have to start at season 1. So I was like, take me to season 1. And before going into season 1, I was looking at the cast photo and I was looking at it and I go, man, I really thought Larsa was on the first season, but I was like, I must be mistaken. So I turned on the TV and, I always like with Housewives, the first season, I take it with a grain of salt because it's just like, we're meeting the women. A lot of time with this Housewives, it's not supposed to be Housewives. This was originally supposed to be Ladies Who Lunch,
Insane.
which makes so much sense because there's a whole fight about a crock pot. And so I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, who are these women? Why are they fighting over lunch? And then on my screen, it says Larsa. And I said, I'm so sorry. I'm all for like people like, you know what, whatever makes you feel good, do what we will with your body. But she has had a full 100% transformation to where there's not an inkling of Larsa from first season. I was aghast. Like I had no idea what I was getting into.
She's accomplished what our skin does naturally on its own. You know, every 7 years, your skin completely rejuvenates.
Right.
Every 7 years, Larsa completely rejuvenates into a new human.
Face.
Yeah.
And listen, to your point, so I did the opposite of what you did, Lyndsay. I started watching, but I went to the current season because I felt like my brain could not. I was like, I cannot compute all of these other seasons.
Yeah.
So let me just dive in. And sometimes for my purposes, Mandy literally said to me, she goes, I think your interpretations about Miami are the best because like you don't really watch it. So you have like a bird's eye view of things, which sometimes for my purposes, because like when we watch these other shows like OC, like I clearly have people who I just like and maybe, you know, of course that affects like my perception and and things like that. So for me, it's been really great. But I was telling you before we started recording that I saw this clip of Larsa. She was doing some sort of panel and her face was like, she did something else to it. And the internet was like, why? Like, what is happening for you that you need to continue to, like Brady said, you literally shed your face every 7 years.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is. Even her voice sounds different. Like I was taken aback. So and even the first season, I was like, oh yeah, Larsa's not going to be for me. She's like,
she's so annoying in season 1 too. I will say, since we're on this topic, I did see a Reddit post the other day of someone theorizing that in the first few seasons of Miami, Lenny was intentionally giving Lisa bad plastic surgery to make her ugly so she...
Oh my god.
And that's just something someone wrote on Reddit, but I read it and I was like, well,
wait a second.
Doesn't not
Hold
track.
on. So Lisa got plastic surgery by her husband?
Oh yeah, Lenny. He did a lot of her plastic surgeries.
Can I tell you how
that's wild.
Unethical that actually is? Because like literally what and I'll explain why. Literally what I'm just saying about like my relationships with people impairing my judgment. That's why you can't practice surgery like that. I don't even know how that's allowed. Again, people come for me about being unethical, and then you have people who do this, and it's like, are you out of your minds? Like, that crazy. Is so bonkers to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't. And well, now seeing how he is now, I'm like, that's scary that she was ever in that vulnerable of a position around him, because that's
right.
And why, as a husband, would you even want to do that? There's no, you know what I mean? There's no way that I would refer you to the best of the best. But I myself would not want to put that on my hand.
Well, unless you are an insane narcissist who thinks you are the best of the best.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you're a megalomaniac, but you're not. So, you know.
I'm to be determined.
He might be he is pretty wild.
TBD.
We'll see.
Well, so the other thing that we kind of talked about is that the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, there was like a teeny tiny teaser, like 2 of them shown. One was just flowers poking through snow. And I was like, I could have done this. I am not technologically savvy, and I could have done this trailer. What is happening?
Do you think they're trying to tell us something about like there's new beginnings, new growth? Is that like what they're trying to tease us with? Like there's things growing out of the snow.
I think they're just like, Salt Lake City is coming and it's snowy and this is what this means. It's coming.
Snowing. They're
but listen,
growing.
I like where you went
Get
with
ready.
that, Brady, because I like to find meaning in everything.
Yeah, I was like, is it a metaphor?
I don't think Bravo thinks that deep. They need to. I would like actually Bravo to think that deep, but I don't think they do.
They're busy thinking about how to cover up abuse, so they can't actually think of metaphors for their teaser trailers.
Yeah, that is. Although I will say Salt Lake City, luckily, they have a different production company.
That's true.
So
yes.
That's what's hard about Bravo because, you know, sometimes I struggle with like what they're doing. But it's hard because all the shows have different production companies. So like the people who produce The Valley, Daddy Baskin, he doesn't produce. No, he does, I think, Beverly Hills. But he doesn't do, I think, any of the other housewives. So that's where it's like, it gets complicated with Bravo. But I don't think they're doing any deep messaging with the Salt Lake City show.
I can hope. Let me pray. Let me hope.
So, but let me ask you, did you guys watch Next Gen New York City?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So
religiously.
Right? It was so, wasn't it so good? I thought it was so good.
It's our favorite show.
Yeah.
It's I told Lyndsay, I said next year we're just a Next Gen NYC recap show because that's how much I fucking love this show. It's so good.
It made me love Bravo again.
Yeah.
Well, right. But so this is my theory and I want to hear what you think. To me, why I think Next Gen New York City works so well and it's so good is that it's reminiscent of early Housewives where it's people who don't give a shit. Like they're like baby deer getting their legs. They haven't bought their own bags of bullshit. They don't think they're the most amazing people in the world. It's not like this production. It's just young people doing their thing, and it feels authentic. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And you know why also it's good is Brady and I talked about this. They're actually showing real things and real conversations. Like, for instance, if this was produced by the people who produced The Valley, we wouldn't see Charlie showing microaggressions against Riley. We would only see Riley's reaction to things. We wouldn't see Charlie being a little bitch about a $200 speaker. We would see only Georgia being like upset. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
was having people over. He was having people over and he needed his speaker.
We would see more of the women reacting and not what the men were doing. So I love a show because like I'm watching this show and I'm like, oh my God, I've had similar conversations like this with my friends. Like it reminds me of like when I was in my 20s and like having conversations like, and it's actually showing it. It's not edited in a really weird way. Also, we love a first season because people, although a lot of these kids obviously grew up with housewives, they act so differently. Brooks actually is terrified of the camera. He has such bad anxiety.
So scared.
Whereas Gia and Ariana, they lean in. They say, so it's just it's so good.
I agree with everything you said. And it is so interesting seeing like those different personalities play out. But what's for me was so fascinating is that on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, I never was a fan of Meredith because she is so histrionic. It's, to me, that grates on my nerves, right? The whole histrionics, like that sort of thing, it just annoys me. But on Next Gen New York City, Meredith, I was like, oh, I like her a lot. When she's being like a regular person, when she's being like a mom and, you know, being funny and silly. And it's like, where's the disconnect from this on Real? I want to see this Meredith on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, you know?
I have to wonder if it's because maybe she feels more relaxed on Next Gen because it's not really focused on her. Whereas like Salt Lake City, you know what I mean? Like the focus is on her and the women and making sure there's drama and like I don't know, but she was more silly but in a fun way. Whereas like Salt Lake City, we're laughing kind of more at her instead of with her.
I would say though, I also think think about the arena she's in. For Salt Lake City, that is a show where that cast is just, even if they're not, the whole cast feels like they're always coming for each other.
Yeah.
So it's like a very like coming for you environment where I feel like on Next Gen, she was able to just kind of like chill out and be herself and not have to worry about is what she says going to like get misconstrued, is what she does going to get like turn into the next like big drama. She got to kind of just like have fun and film with her son and fire him.
Yeah.
And then cry, and then her son can wipe her snot.
Oh my God. Yeah, we got to see how they truly both are like too attached to each other.
Bro,
Very
their
interesting
level of codependence. I could write a literal dissertation on Brooks and Meredith. And it's like, it's so wild to me. And it's so wild to me that Brooks was so scared of the camera that like, but the production still made him very interesting because like they would just put the thought bubbles of like Meredith. Yes. And I was like, because I think Brooks is great. And I'd love to see him again next season. I think he's a sweetie. But you could tell just he is like the anti-Meredith Marks when it comes to what we're talking about. He hates conflict. You could tell he physically gets anxiety. I literally just want to like, I want to swaddle him and just like be like, it's okay, baby. I got you. It's, I just want to love on him. But you're right. I think like with Housewives, now there's this like Hunger Games component to Housewives, which never existed. Like season 1 of like New York and OC, it was just like, it was very Next Gen-esque instead of this Hunger Games traitors shit show that it's become.
I know. That's why I almost wonder, I don't know, sometimes with Housewives, when it goes on and on and on like this, that's where, it gets less authentic.
Yep.
And I can imagine being in that position because I think they get to the point where like, oh my gosh, like, okay, what's it going to be this season? Like, and these people are also literally trying to keep their job. And if they're not interesting, they don't have a job. So I can imagine being in that mindset when it comes to these shows. So I don't know. Sometimes it's like, what, on OC, they're on what is this season? What?
17?
17?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm watching it and I'm just like, I do not like watching older women try to have young problems.
Well, and to your point,
like it's so high school. You know what I mean? Even The Valley, when we get into it, I was like, am I in high school?
Yeah.
Like, this seriously feels like, what?
Can I be honest?
You're going to pull out a photo of me, my quote-unquote fatty photo, and show it to people? Like, what? Like, this sounds like, in like movies, like 80 movies, like they would like blow up pictures of like the quote-unquote ugly girl and like post it around. Like
fucking Heathers
or something. Like Never Been Kissed, like Josie Grossi, like I was like, what are we doing here?
It feels like the shows kind of start to, once they're on for so long, they start to be more of a factor. Like the show itself starts to become the thing instead of the cast.
Yeah.
Whereas with Next Gen NYC, the cast is the thing because the show isn't. You start to like on every season of Beverly Hills, there's a certain drama and there's a certain arc that's going to happen. And we know how it's going to play out. Whereas with Next Gen, we get completely fresh stuff. Same with like Soho, Southern Hospitality. Like you don't have built-in scenarios and they can kind of be more free with the production. And I think that goes to show why the reboot of RHONY failed, because even though we had a fresh cast, we still had the structure of the show RHONY, right? Yeah. So then you're falling into those expectations, where if they were quicker to cancel and just have a new show, I think the audience would have a lot more fun with the programming on this network.
Well, Next Gen is what they wanted RHONY to be.
That's right. And Next Gen's fucking great.
Yeah.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was saying Next Gen is better than the new season of RHONY. Because I think, Brady, I think you hit it on the head, where it's like after almost 2 decades, it's like Housewives, to be sustainable, it has to become animalistic. It has to become so like cutthroat and fighting for, trying to like bring the drama. Otherwise you become a friend of. And so like, I understand some of it is like they're self-sustaining. They're trying to protect their jobs and careers. But at the same time, it just shifts what we love so much. So, but let's get into OC, because I think that, you brought up something that for me was one of the most egregiously gross things that happened on this episode, which for those listening, if you haven't watched it yet, is that last episode, Tamra was talking to Heather and she pulled out this photo of Jen and she said something like, it was like a fatty photo. I think that was like the quote that people kept using.
Yeah,
and
that's what
here's
they're
the
saying.
thing. They showed the picture of Jen, okay? Can I just say that the body image in the OC is out of order? It is so
out of
skewed
control.
because I'm like, Jen was beautiful. She's beautiful then. She's beautiful now. And I don't understand like Tamra being like, look at this fat photo of Jen. And I'm like, where? She looked absolutely gorgeous. What are you talking about? But so, tell me your thoughts on that, because I just thought it was just so disgusting.
Well, first of all, you're using like, it shows the toxic culture because they're saying fat in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know what I mean? Like everyone comes in like different bodies, different shapes. But the way like your fatty photo, why are we even like saying that? And also like trying to put on like, you know, when people say like, oh, you know, but no, like you're beautiful. Like when it comes to like fat, like what do you mean? Like
you're fat. No, you're beautiful.
Like, okay. Like you can like, it's just such like, again, it's just like, and I understand, like I've had to like every day I still have to learn about like unlearn things, right? From like growing up in like the 90s and like that toxic culture. But like Tamra, you're pulling out this photo and is she trying, like the whole thing is her trying to say she's thinking that Jen is trying to look like her?
So what she's saying essentially is that Jen is trying to skin Tamra and wear her as a coat because she's so obsessed that she wants her life. By the way, that was a little throwback to Dina Manzo, season 1 of Real Housewives of New Jersey, by the way, for anyone who caught that. She said the same thing about Danielle. She's like, I don't know. I think she wants to skin me and wear me as a coat.
Yes.
I think that to me, so Tamra's really trying to say that like Jen wants to be her. And what's so crazy to me is that I think this is projection because the receipts from last episode were that Tamra actually used a photo of Jen as an inspo pic for her plastic surgery. Y'all catch
projecting much?
Yeah. That's actually what happened. Mm-hmm.
It's
projection, friends.
It's mean girl behavior. You're trying to embarrass Jen, but Tamra thinks that this is such a horrific photo, which if you saw the photo is fine. It's like 3 of them. They all look fabulous.
Yeah.
But you're trying to pull up this photo to embarrass Jen. You're trying to it is just, you are a mean girl. In this moment, there is no reason for this.
Right.
I also think like Tamra Judge has participated in like bodybuilding competitions and things like that of that nature. And just like anyone who is a part of that culture is I'm going to take any comments about anybody with a grain of absolute salt.
Yeah.
Great point, Brady.
Anything Tamra says about anyone's body, I'm like, ma'am, you were a prisoner of muscles. I don't want to hear it.
Well, and I
get out of here.
I guarantee her brain probably thinks the most toxic stuff.
I feel like people who do the muscly thing probably have the most they have the biggest struggle with body image issues, I would assume.
I did love Jen and her talking. I think it was her talking head. She goes, "Fuck your fatty photo."
She did say that.
I said, "Oh my God, what are we doing? This is crazy."
I know, but Brady, I think those are such good points too, is because, like when people kind of go to extremes when it comes to body image and things like that, extremes are not going to be healthy. But I definitely agree that there's not only this toxic expectation in the OC, right? Like there are women there that are using weight loss aids that they should not be using, that it's not medically appropriate. It doesn't seem medically relevant to try to look as wafer thin as they can. And so what I think when you're in that world, it starts to, for lack of a better term, pickle your brain and it poisons your own self-worth and self-esteem. And so one of the things I did want to bring up is that the term for mean girl is like technically relational aggression. So there have been books written on the subject. Mean Girls was based on this really interesting book about like this sort of behavior. And what's interesting is that all the research says that it can be attributed to social conditioning, teaching girls to be nice and to avoid direct conflict in relationships. So the behavior typically stems from a desire for power and control, lack of self-esteem and self-confidence, and low levels of empathy. And the interesting thing, we won't get into
Tamra
this too.
Tamra, I was about to say, are we just reading her chart? Like, what's going on here?
Is this her birth chart?
Burgeoning research on this topic is that it examines the relationships between relational aggression and the three, they're called the dark triad constructs, which is Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy. Yes. And so essentially is that those who score high, like there's some of these tests that you can do, those who score high on Machiavellianism are more likely to have high levels of deceitfulness, unemotional temperament, and exploitativeness with kind of like a cold, unemotional temperament.
Jeez.
So that's just information for people to,
digest
sift through, digest, think about if you think that applies to anyone on the show. I'm not saying that it does. It's just, there's definitely traits and tendencies that are linked to these types of behaviors. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it was really, I don't know. The OC is hard because they're all just like have moments where they're just really not nice. And I understand housewives can do that, but I don't know. And then just, I think the whole just like the culture of like the rich being rich and also like your body is like, it's so focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I feel like Emily tries to, I noticed in this episode, like always tries to, she seems like she wants to try to make a fat joke before other people make the joke.
Yep.
Well, because she was ridiculed for years for being the heaviest on the cast.
Oh my God,
yeah.
she still is
tortured, and
she still is.
Even before her weight loss, like let's all be very clear, Emily was not a big person.
No,
like as a fat person, I can confidently say that's crazy. Like that's a wild.
See, and I talk about my friend like that. Come on.
Well, I just watching her, I was like, oh, she's trying to. There's just a particular scene they're talking about who's sitting in the front of scene there. She's like, oh, like the fatties sit in the front. This is all the language that they're using. I'm like, I was so uncomfortable with this episode because I was like, this is not the language. Like I've had to, like, you know what I mean? Like the language that they use is just very like, fat is not a bad word, but they're, and fat is not a bad word. They're using it in a bad way. So watching it, I was like, okay, Lyndsay, you're going to have to like reflect and unlearn everything you've watched in this episode. Because it was just so, like the first, 15 minutes of this was so focused on all that. And I was just like, I don't need this. Am I back in like middle school? Like what's going on?
I would argue the whole episode was so fatphobic.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you brought that up about Emily because I noticed this too, is that I think for Emily, who by the way, is so gorgeous, she lifted... Okay,
I want her to crush me with her thighs.
No, literally, I want her to wear stilettos and stomp on my neck.
You said that with last year.
Lyndsay,
I remember
again
that.
with the neck.
With the neck.
Lyndsay has
I had to say
obsession with a thick ass neck.
I love it.
But like, there was a scene where Emily picked up her skirt and showed her ass, and I was like,
"Oh, I saw." Insane.
I'm a straight woman, but I was like, I will take a chunk out of that butt with my teeth because holy moly,
same
hot tamale, okay?
I would take a chunk out of that butt is crazy.
Brady, you need to see that butt.
I think I've seen it. It's great.
That butt. It's
She's
so
gorgeous.
Good.
Yes.
And so,
it was stunning.
To your point, I think that Emily lives in this toxic world of really shitty body image. And as to your point, all bodies are different bodies. We're not all meant to live in the same looking body. That's not what's right for all of us. And Emily's body is never going to be like Heather Dubrow, and nor should it.
Right.
But I think that what we're seeing, my theory, is it's starting to impact Emily's self-esteem because how
100%.
couldn't it, right? How couldn't it? To be around these women constantly talking about fatty photos. So Emily now, I feel like she's playing this role of like she's leaning into, I like to eat snacks, that the purse egg that she took from Hot Pot. And it feels a little bit like she's she's trying to put herself in this role so she can say it before other people hurt her.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And oh man, I relate so much to Emily, especially I remember last season, she was talking about working out like crazy. And like, I've shared this on our podcast before, but I have definitely like in my past have struggled with eating disorders. And when I was in my height of it, I mean, my mom would come up to me, like, Lyndsay, like I would be on the treadmill for hours and just like in that horrible toxic mindset. And I just see when Emily like talks about that, I'm like, oh girl, I get it. And then this episode, when she's talking about being a mom and just like, she's really struggling with like, being away from her kids, especially her one son who's they're kind of figuring out what's going on with him and trying to like help him. And she's like, you want to, I've never related to so much. You like, when you have kids, you love them so much. And sometimes you're like, oh, I just need to get away for a minute. But then you're away and you have so much guilt. Yeah. I go, like, my son is in the kitchen and I go in the living room and I have guilt. Aww. Because I'm like, because he's like, you know what I mean? Like, they just want you.
Right.
And her just like, I just feel like Emily, I think, is starting to be a lot more vulnerable with stuff that she's sharing. Yeah. I don't know necessarily, though, if it's clicking to her yet, though. You know what I mean? Like, there may be some stuff that you need to process, some more as far as like your body image, but that's hard to do because the environment that you're in, and plus her having a lot of like mom guilt. Like, I don't know. I really feel for Emily.
Yeah. And listen, Lyndsay, I appreciate you bringing that up about disordered eating because, I've shared this with my audience that when so in my life, because of health issues that are beyond my control, I've weighed at the least 80 pounds as an adult and 200 pounds. I've had a swing all because of health issues that I had no control over. I could not control my body, right? And so what happened is I started to be fearful that the foods I was going to eat was going to hurt my health. And then I ended up not eating anything. Yeah. And it was like I joke that it was like my nutritionist was like, well, you have an eating disorder. And I was like, excuse me? I was like, I'm a therapist. I absolutely do not. And then she was like talking and I was like, oh no. So my point is that even like if you know better, it's just such an insidious thing that you have to be so on top of because all the messages from society, commercials, the things we watch, it can be so toxic to our brains. And it's like, it makes me so sad to think about you like on that treadmill for hours and me like not feeding my body. And so
it's so funny, Melissa, that you say that about like your nutritionist telling you that, because I remember when I was in therapy, one of the first times I was in therapy that had such a good therapist, Monica, we love you, but she was at IUPUI.
We love you, Monica.
We love you, Monica. But I remember I was opening up about this for the first time, and she connected to it like with me having like a sense of control because I lived in an environment where I had no control. And I looked at her and I go, how dare you? I said, because I literally had a meltdown on her couch because like everything made sense. I was like, so wait, this was all about control?
God damn it, Monica. I didn't want to realize that today.
I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you mean? But does it even mean this? And she was like, Lyndsay, breathe. And I was like, how dare you make me have a connection? I thought this sounds silly, but I thought it all just stemmed from like, oh, I just wanted to like look a certain way. No, it was so much deeper than that.
So much deeper.
I was like, and then I was like, well, what does this even mean? Was I even doing that? And she was like, Lyndsay, stop it. And I was like, no, Monica, no. I need 20 more minutes now.
And this next patient's coming in. Bye.
And this is as someone who was literally in school to be a therapist. I'm sitting there like, how dare you, Monica? How dare you tell me this was me stemming from my childhood trauma, me getting control? Okay, Monica, thank you.
You feel so attacked. Like when I go into my therapist and she'll connect things and I'm like, and I totally thought I had a complete understanding of that thing. And I'll be like, God damn it. So
how dare
angry.
you?
How dare
so
I know.
Angry.
So I hope this validates people listening because like I'm a therapist. You went to school for that. Like we're educated and it's like I'm really great at helping people. But that's why all helpers need helpers because we have blind spots when it comes to ourselves. And even the greatest, most brilliant minds, need other people to help. And so I think
Dr. Orna has a therapist.
Who?
Who's that?
Dr. Orna. Oh my gosh. Okay. I sidetracked. From the Showtime show Couples Therapy.
I never watched
Dr. Orna. She's an icon.
I ever watched that.
Gay people, if any gay people are listening, they know Dr. Orna. She's a gay icon.
We love a gay
she's
icon.
A gay icon. Okay, well.
She's not gay. We just like her.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, yeah.
The gays like her.
But even she has a therapist.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to have to check that out. Because you know me, I love to see a good therapist representing. Because whenever I see a terrible therapist on TV, I'm like, you're making us all look terrible.
That's all on Bravo.
Melissa, I need you to dive into couples therapy because I think you will have a new love. It's so good.
It's probably better than the OC right now.
Oh, it's way better than the OC.
Is it like currently on, or is it on older?
I think there's 4 seasons out, and it's currently still airing. Like new seasons are still coming.
I'm writing it down.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
Oh, you're gonna watch some couples go through some things.
Oh yes.
Boy. Yeah. I mean, I have to be honest. I know we're sidetracking a bit, but the thing that I hated the most when I was doing therapy was marriage counseling. Oh, woof.
I could have never done
so hard. And it's just like hard and it's stressful. And again, as someone who's been, with my husband for 23 years, there's like things that people would say. I'd be like, God damn it, that my motherfucker, he does that too. And it's like,
I can imagine that would be so hard to not have a bias and to like not show that.
That is one of the things in couples therapy because she talks to her therapist about it because she's like, he sucks. He fucking sucks. I hate him. I don't want him to be with her. I don't think he's good. And then the therapist is like, but you have to be right. You have to do the right thing.
And that's what's so powerful about like individual therapy because it's like because my therapist now, like we have that rapport. And like she was the first therapist. And sometimes like, look, and with a therapist, you have to know like when to say things like this. But she knew, like, she looked at me and she goes, Lyndsay, I think your stepdad was like a psychopath. And I was like, thank you so much for saying that.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for saying that he is like evil. And like we just like, I was just like, you need that. But obviously, like when you're doing marriage counseling, it's like you just have to like think that in your head, like, oh, this might be bad.
Your husband's a psycho.
Well,
he's like, I'm right here.
Yeah, excuse me.
Literally, that's a challenge because I'll just tell you quickly. I had this one time, I will never forget this. I had a person I was seeing individually that the boyfriend was a complete abusive POS and she wanted to bring him in for a session. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. So comes in and I am cautious but direct, shall we say.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to get someone to walk me to my car at night because he threatened my life. So
that is
terrifying. That's crazy.
I know. And listen, this is just one instance of like a bunch that I could tell you.
Oh yeah.
Because they don't like to be called out and all of those other things that, so it's a wild ride, but I hope this is validating to people listening that like, we all have blind spots. We all have struggles. And that's why, though, I think why Tamra's comment to wrap this up, because I want to talk about other things, but it's so insidiously ugly because we all have things that we're insecure about. Every person on earth has insecurities, right? And so I just think it's ugly, but it's also like low-hanging fruit to make someone feel uncomfortable about how they look. It's like, Jen's already, all women manage that, and not just women, men, like all people manage that. So I just think it's gross and it's low-hanging fruit. And
it is. And Tamra, you wouldn't like someone bringing up an old photo of you and like talking about it in a negative way.
Well, Tamra would say, well, I've never been fat. I've never been bad and fat.
Yeah, that's exactly what she would do.
Tamra, get your shit together.
I know.
Crazy.
And listen, Tamra, speaking of Larsa's, head transplant, you look at old Tamra from, initial seasons to now. I mean, it's easy to throw stones when you have people fixing you to look your best on camera before every season, right? I mean, I just think that's wild. One of the interesting things is that Jen was angry with Heather because she didn't push back against Tamra's mean girl behavior. And I felt like that while we can't expect people to take sides in conflicts all the time, like that's not appropriate. But I do think that Jen had a point. But like, here's something interesting. So I watched Watch What Happens Live after the episode, and Gina was on with Julia Gardner, who I really love. She's and
the
she
new movie
loves
Weapons.
Yes, she promoted the new movie. By the way, so shady. When I went to watch What Happens Live, I recorded it. They just put Julia's name, not Gina's.
They didn't put Gina.
They didn't even put Gina. It just said with Julia Gardner. And I was like, dude, that's wild.
Gina.
But Gina went on and she basically said, because she was asked about like the Heather supporting Tamra with this like really shitty thing. Gina said like this very diplomatic answer of, well, I think Heather's struggling to navigate her relationship with Tamra because they have so much history together. So what I read between the lines is that Heather's picking her battles because she needs an ally. That's 100%. What I read.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Heather and Tamra, I could see them, they might get annoyed with each other, but they're going to have each other's back. Like they're kind of like an alliance, if you like.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what I wrote. I think that, yes. And it's like Heather, plus, listen, Heather, I'm sure has some body image stuff too. And so to be honest, there's part of me that thinks maybe she co-signs a little bit of what Tamra said.
Probably.
Because if that were me, I don't care how much of an alliance or like a close relationship. Like if you guys said that, which you wouldn't, I'd be like, I love you, but what now? Like, what are we saying?
You said, excuse me right now?
Brady has seen me in incidents. Yeah. Like if we were someone and they brought out a photo of someone and they called it like their fat photo, like Brady has seen me sometimes when people will make comments about like my body or something. I just like I don't know what to do. Like I freeze. I turn to the most awkward person. So if someone did that to me, I'd be like, what are we doing here?
Right.
I do not co-sign on this whatsoever.
Also, what would happen to me in my life is someone would be like, oh my God, can you believe how fat they are? And they'd show me a picture of someone 150 pounds lighter than me. And I'd have to look at them and be like, what are you thinking right now?
Yeah. That's like.
So it's like, I get the point, but at this point, and this is one of those things that I feel like Housewives has jumped the shark on, where it's like literally about alliances now. It's not about what's right or wrong. It's about alliance. But the one thing that I did want to touch on is that although Tamra's behavior has been egregious, the one thing that I wanted to put out there is like, she talked about, a lot of grief with Teddy, and she revealed that Teddy and Tamra were in New Orleans when Teddy fell down a flight of like a marble staircase, which is what led her to get the scans that found the brain tumors. Yeah. And so when Gina announced the trip, she was really shaken. And so here's the one thing that I want to say about this. As someone like, people are saying that Tamra is using Teddy's situation to manipulate. And as someone, so I'm a survivor of ovarian cancer at 17. I'm living with a chronic incurable cancer for the past 10 years. My honest opinion is it doesn't really matter. And I'll explain why. Because does playing the cancer card help sometimes? Yes. Is it incredibly painful to people who love me? Also, yes. You know what I mean? And so I think that Tamra's grief is real. Her worry is real. And for those who don't realize, Teddy's diagnosis, her prognosis is poor. It's very serious. She may really not survive this. It's very real. And so I guess I just want to say that, people came to my Instagram, and this is what makes me so angry on Instagram. People are like, well, that doesn't give Tamra the right to be a mean girl. Well, no shit. I'm not saying that it does. That's a separate issue. But what I'm saying is that Tamra, I really think her grief is very valid. It's very real. And I stand by what I said. Whether she uses it or not in situations, it doesn't mean she's not really like having a very hard time. So that's my thought on it.
Well, and this is what reality shows are about. The three of us were just kicking and laughing at Tamra and like calling out her being a mean girl. But in this moment, this is where I'm like, my empathy kicks in. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a human on my screen.
Right.
Call it her being manipulative, call it what. But honestly, I see it as someone, Teddy is her best friend.
Yeah.
Her and Teddy have a show together. She was with Teddy when she fell down. Like, she has been with Teddy, and it sounds like Teddy for a while has not been feeling well and has been ignoring it. She's had headaches, but she's just like, not been like going to the doctor. And like you said, like, what is going on with Teddy is extremely, like, I think I saw her in a podcast recently. It's like a 50-50. And like, she's like trying
probably
to be really positive.
Yeah. Probably less than that. Because
and she's trying to be so hopeful and positive about it.
Right.
But like, go ahead, Melissa.
I was just going to explain why. And again, I only know this because I'm basically a cancer, I don't know, expert, I guess.
Yeah.
Not on everyone, but when you have a stage 4 metastatic cancer, what that means is it has metastasized to other parts of your body. And when that starts to happen, the chance of survival is less and less. Now, what I will say is statistics don't always matter, because what I love to say is that math and statistics cannot compute the resilience of the human spirit. That's what I believe. Because so my first cancer, they gave me a 20% chance of survival, literally.
Wow.
And I am here, 27 years later. Now I am dealing with other things. But I guess my point to anyone listening to this is that, our spirits and our resilience and our hope and our strength matters. But Teddy's situation is pretty dire. And I just don't think a lot of people get that. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's real. And it's like, I don't know, it just shows me like, okay, Tamra, like, she can have feelings and she can't, you know what I mean? Like, obviously this is really upsetting. I can imagine having to film a reality show while also my friend is going through that. Right. And this is right when like they were just figuring out what was going on. I think Teddy just had surgery. I think they said she just had surgery, but there was still more in her brain. Like, she was like, this was like the real thick of it too. Right. And so just like, like you said, in this moment, is she maybe trying to like be manipulative or have people feel sorry for her? I mean, maybe. But also in this moment, I just see someone who's actually worried about her friend. And obviously, like, this is what I think you call a potential triggering moment when she's talking about when Gina's like, we're going to New Orleans for a trip. And she just had this experience with Teddy. So I think that's valid.
Right. I think it's valid too. Yeah.
Did you guys catch Teddy did an interview this week with someone?
Yes.
And she kind of broke down and explained that in her head, she still sometimes thinks that the cancer is her punishment for cheating on her husband. And it was really, really sad to listen to.
Oh, no.
It was,
I understand how she got that thought pattern, but like,
no,
what a tough one.
It's an intrusive thought for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I understand how that can be a thought she has, but Jesus,
that's not
Christ,
cancer doesn't work
tough.
That way. Cancer, you know what I mean? Like, I know disease works that way, and so, but I look, I
because
also,
if
like,
it did, there would be some other people who should really be struggling.
Jax Taylor would be,
yeah.
So.
Just, but that's such a, I saw that clip and it broke my heart.
Like,
and I hate it. Some of the comments are so nasty because they're like, that's a stupid thing to say. Well, no shit. She knows that. You know how many times my brain
baring her soul to us and telling her deepest thoughts. Like,
telling someone who may be dying of cancer that they're
that's a stupid thing.
Could you imagine? I'm not
laughing at that. It's just funny because it's crazy.
I think people a lot of times when they like have cancer or some, disease, they think of like, there's so much society-wise, it's like, what did you do? So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, what did I do? And it's just like, no.
I used to joke with my therapist that I'm like, I must have been Hitler in a past life. That's the only thing that explains what is happening to me right now. And even though it was like joking, there is a part of you when you have like, when you're told you're dying from cancer or potentially that's a possibility, people have no idea how that impacts your mental health. And you start to think about, right, it increases depression, it increases anxiety, it increases like the questioning how, like when I stopped eating because I was like afraid I was going to hurt myself, right? These are the things that happen when you have cancer. And I think that unfortunately, or fortunately, if people don't know what it's like, it's because they haven't experienced it. But I can absolutely see how Teddy got there. And I've reached out to Teddy because I just wanted to support her, and she, has not responded. And I'm sure because of everything that happened with Tamra, she probably won't, which is fine. That's totally fair. But I always just want to show her a lot of support. And sometimes I call myself a cancer concierge because I've been through it so much that I just want to use my experience, strength, and hope to help other people. Yeah. But I'm hoping that she has enough people in her life to help her with that, because that just couldn't be further from the truth.
Well, and I think your audience knows this, but just remember, you don't have to like everything that Teddy does on a show.
That's true.
And that is a separate thing. But I also think in this moment, we can have some empathy for someone who is really going through a scary, scary situation. And it's truly kind of a day by day as far as like what kind of treatment she has, what treatment's working. I think she had to take a break on like immunotherapy.
Her immunotherapy. She did.
So,
yes.
She is like in the trenches. So it's like, this isn't about bad karma because what she fucking did on Housewives. It's not a fucking thing. And like people who like, I just, I don't know, just kind of being a Bravo content creator now, like just some of the stuff I see, and it's not even on my page, but like I just see it elsewhere. I'm just like, man, like y'all just like in this moment to separate things. They are actually human beings.
It's also just like sometimes you don't need to type it out.
No, type it to a friend.
Keep it in your head.
Or say it to a friend.
Keep that
to
yourself.
If you need to say it, text
privately.
There's no reason to put on Teddy's... Well, this is because on Housewives, episode 6, you said this. It's like, no.
You were boring in your first season of Beverly Hills.
You lied about Lisa Vanderpump.
Yeah,
it's like, no.
Girl, log off.
Yeah, there are other things. So I just, I think...
Yeah.
That was a moment in this episode of OC where I was like, okay, Tamra, like I can understand, like this was probably a really hard time for her in filming.
Right. And now it doesn't excuse her behaving the way she is. Let's be clear to everybody, because we just have to be clear about that. But I think it does take a certain level of emotional intelligence to be able to separate the two, right? And I understand not everybody can do that. To be able to say, okay, Tamra deserves empathy here, but this doesn't deserve empathy. And so, listen, I think it's fair enough that not, I don't know if you guys know this, but not all people on the internet have a whole lot of emotional intelligence. So
what?
I know, it's shocking, isn't it? Absolutely shocking.
I don't know if you're right about that.
Yeah, I've done some sociological experimentation.
I'm gonna have to ask my ChatGPT if that's correct.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check with the AI to see if that's right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so to wrap up, let's see. What else did I want to say about OC? This was pretty interesting. So the ladies, when they went to New Orleans and they went to dinner, literally, did anyone else notice that Gretchen looked like Carmen Sandiego?
She did. Yeah.
I posted a side-by-side picture of it today on my Instagram, and it was so spot on. I was like, wow, what crevice of my brain did this comparison come from?
You found her. You found her.
We found her. We found Gretchen, a.k.a. Carmen.
Yeah.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
New Orleans.
She was in there. And she was ordering the turtle soup.
Gina literally ate turtle soup.
Well, first they asked, is there turtle in the turtle soup? And I said, excuse me, what?
Well, there's no turtle in a turtle sundae.
That is so... Okay, Brady. Okay.
He
You're
just
right.
got you there, girl.
It wasn't a stupid question.
It does seem pretty... Yeah, it did seem pretty dumb.
Because what is it going to be, caramel and nuts in the soup?
I mean, maybe.
An ice cream soup.
She did. She ordered the turtle soup, and she said it was good.
Yeah, I only have heard of eating turtle from one person, and it's the most country person who works in my work. And he was like, oh, it tastes just like chicken. And I was like, okay, Steve, thanks.
They always say that when it comes to anything that's not
like chicken. Yummy.
Listen, as someone who doesn't love a lot of different foods, I just was like, I respect the ability to be like, yeah, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. I don't know.
But also, like, are we breaking open turtle shells to, like, get this meat? Like, that seems really violent. And I don't know if, like, I mean, any animal eating is violent, but, like, turtle seems like it's protected for a reason.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
if I had
we
to
don't
break
need to dig
a
in
shell
there.
off of a chicken, I'd feel weird about chicken tenders, too.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to break open a chicken to get the tenders, that's crazy.
Well, and then also, did you guys catch that Heather said that Terry wears lifts from China?
Yes.
And I was like, oh, Jax has a buddy. He's not, you know, Jax isn't the only one, you know, fudging his stats.
They're lifting together.
Insecure ass men. It's so embarrassing
so funny
to admit that you are with a man who is so insecure about his height he wears lifts. The way I would have to look at my husband dead in the eye and be like, you are going to resolve this on your with a therapist, or we're separating because you're not, this isn't right. You shouldn't feel so insecure. You are a incredibly wealthy man, incredibly successful and wealthy man.
So much money,
and if you are so fucking insecure that you wear lifts in your shoes, that's I don't know. You're the therapist here, but that sounds like a mental problem.
Terry, you need to go to exposure therapy.
Yeah, you're short, Terry.
So one day at a time. One day you're just going to wear one lift and one shoe.
Oh no, his walking asymmetry would be so bad.
He'll have to go to the chiropractor. Yeah. Well, listen, the thing I can say is, like, you know, women can wear heels and things like that. And so I understand men wanting to be able to, like, fudge it a bit. But also at the end of the day, I do think it goes back to just, like, accepting who we are, accepting our body type,
own it.
Because
Jax,
Lyndsay, that's so right. They need to be heels. You need to be serving cunty heeled footwear. Stop hiding it in your boots, JD Vance, or that guy from Florida. You fucker from Florida. I actually hate you. I don't remember your name. Rick,
Jax.
Rob. I don't know. What the fuck's his name? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Jax got
that guy.
Jax
Ron
got
DeSantis.
pissed.
Fuck that guy, Ron DeSantis.
Oh my God. No, you're good. You're good. Oh my God. Jax, because this whole lift thing, this has been a thing, but Brittany first revealed it on a Watch What Happens Live years ago.
Oh, fuck.
Jax got
so mad
at her for doing this. So that's my thing. If you're going to do it and it makes you feel better, that's fine, but own it.
In the same way that Jax would tell a woman, like, own that you're wearing a full face of makeup. Yeah. In the same way he would hold a woman's feet to the fire for that.
Yeah, calling her tree trunk, and you're mad that she outed your shoe lifts.
Oh
insane.
So
I'm all for
use your pregnant wife like that.
Yeah,
I know.
insane.
Could you imagine this woman who brings your amazingly beautiful child into this world, and you're like, your body literally created this life, and you brought him to me, and I had to do nothing, and I'm gonna talk about your stress. It's just, it really does go to show who Jax is. But
I created a fucking human being, like literally grew it, and you're gonna call me tree trunk?
Yeah, that's insane. That's no respect.
There's no respect whatsoever. Like he has no respect. Oh
no.
No, we're gearing ourselves up for the Valley.
Sorry. Yeah, we were talking shit on Terry Dubrow.
This is clearly the right time to transition. But the one last thing I wanted to say, that on Watch What Happens Live, Gina was wearing a gigantic rock on her engagement ring finger. Beautiful.
Is she engaged?
I thought Travis didn't have any money. How'd he get a big ring like that? Weren't they
broke? They both have this real estate company now, and they're working really hard. And
also,
you know,
what
gorgeous.
Season is this for Gina? How many has she been on now?
Oh God, I don't know. I cannot. I want to say 5.
Okay, so she's making like once a housewife, like season 3, they start making money.
So her storyline this year. Sorry, and I haven't tuned into the OC this year, but is her storyline not having to move houses and
no? They have a house now, and she's being more open now about Travis's like ex-wife.
Oh, so it's not as weird.
No, because last season it was very, which I don't know, maybe legally they couldn't talk about it, but it's very much like, you know, Travis was moving out, like because like the way that Gina presented on the show is not actually what was happening. Oh. Whereas this season they're back living together, and she's being very open about what the struggles they're dealing with this ex-wife.
Oh, cool.
Right. And learning to be happy no matter what the chaos this woman is trying to like throw into their lives, which is, you know, I think that's really great. So, okay, so let's transition to the Valley. I am going to be honest. I cannot wait until the show is over. Okay, so at the top, what I'm going to start with saying is that what I cannot get over is that Alex Baskin and other people in production knew about that this video existed. And they knew it existed because other cast members knew it existed. Okay.
Yeah.
And instead of firing Jax, they said, let's send him to rehab and see if we can continue to, have this person out there to make us money. And then they gave him the opportunity to announce his departure instead of being fired like he should have been. I'm having a very hard time getting past that.
Oh, I am too. And look, Alex Baskin can be on his high horse and say, we're showing what's real and this is what's real. But hang on a minute. Jax pushed Brittany into a bush, among other things, right? We already had him. He's throwing chairs, breaking a Stanley Cup, which I cannot say how hard that has to freaking do. He's yelling at her. He's screaming at her. We all have this. So, you know what? We believe in giving people chances. Okay, so he goes to rehab, which that's fair. That's, some people need that. The goal would be for people to get help. However, this entire time he's in rehab and you have footage of him being verbally abusive, of him actually threatening production and Brittany that he can hear you all.
Insane.
Insane. So he's in this rehab still doing abusive behaviors. That is when you say, cut the cameras. You're off the dead ass. You're off this show. But no, this is a unsafe environment for everyone. And like the way that I'm trying, like watching this season, like Brittany, like I see the way that she copes is like laughing at things because she's like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you literally, as soon as you saw this footage, this ring cam footage, it should have been like, you're gone. But let's say, okay, you give him a chance. He goes to rehab. He's still being abusive in rehab. You say goodbye.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, there has to be like, I know with Bravo, like, I know there's money involved, there's people involved, but like we have to like think sometimes about ethical behavior and like what we're showing. And you're giving a man like this a platform. You are showing real life Alex Baskin because you're right. Men like Jax Taylor, they have no consequences. Because guess what? He's not going to be supposedly on season 3 of The Valley, but that door is still very, very open. And Jax knows what he has to do to look a certain way for Daddy Baskin to ask him back.
Yep.
But honestly, and sorry, real quick, Jax, he shouldn't have been allowed on that reunion stage. As soon as he started in that, which I don't know if this is, I think, him saying like when Brittany was like, I'm shaking, you should be. Cut the cameras again off my stage. But no, we have Andy Cohen this episode, which I don't know. Andy, I usually adore you, but you fucking asking Jax, do you still love Brittany? Do not ask that. That is a disgusting thing to ask because Brittany is still very much in this place where she wants Jax to still, like, she's still in that toxic mindset. She wants Jax to say he still loves her. And guess what? He doesn't because he literally is incapable, I think, of like loving anyone. And so him asking that is actually really disgusting for Brittany to hear because that also gives Jax an opportunity to be like, oh, can you not ask that? Like, please, hang on, let me squeeze a tear. Hang on, let me squeeze my eyes. Come on, tear. Come on.
Literally. That's
Sorry,
what he was
that
doing.
was a long rant, but obviously you all can tell that I'm like, I don't, this is horrible. This whole thing is horrible.
Triggering. I think it's triggering to you. I think it's triggering to any person who has dealt with domestic violence. I think it's triggering to anybody who has lived in a world where men can get away with murder.
Anything.
Yeah. And, I think, again, in times like the whole Diddy stuff, the fact that he's not guilty, it's like people speak up and it's still not enough. And we're still in this culture where abusers are given far more grace than victims. And that is unacceptable.
Do you guys think, too, this is just me theorizing, I wonder if Brittany went to production and showed them all this. And can you imagine showing them all this and then being like, their reaction is, okay, don't, like, relax, we're going to send him to rehab. Instead of saying, like, we need to make sure that you're safe, you know what I mean? And we need to, like, not make sure. Like, I feel like I can imagine that moment because I also wonder, like, I really think Brittany was like one step away from getting a restraining order.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to wonder if Bravo was like, no, hang on. Before we do all that, let's try sending him to I just can't imagine
Or did they bring in remember when there was a restraining order with Rachel, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Sheena. And I think you're right on that Bravo was like, well, if we do this, we're not going to be able to film a reunion. You're not going to be able to tell your side of the story, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Listen, I don't know, but that's my guess.
We don't know. Yeah.
Right. And so I just think that, and what is so wild to me too is that there's these things that Jax is doing. I actually wrote a list of it where, he is claiming not to be problematic, but he's displaying the behaviors in real time of, love bombing, gaslighting, blame shifting, projection, triangulation, playing victim. These are all components of very serious mental health issues and personality issues. And, it was just, I feel like this is my Super Bowl because I clearly have so much to say about all of this. But I think to me, the most astounding thing is that, yes, Andy, like, not only asking that, but then having the nerve to say that, oh, well, it seems like he's taken accountability. It's like, sir, where, sir? Has this man...
I've never seen him take this much accountability before.
And Brittany, thank God she was like, I'm worried it's performative.
Yes, because Brittany is telling us that this is what his pattern is. This is what he's doing. This is his game plan.
Right.
That is all that's happening right now is manipulation. And we're all sitting here watching it. And for the first time ever, Brittany's brave enough to spit out the truth and say, like, this is all a performance. And we're going to leave here and he's going to fucking rage text me tonight and tell me that I'm disgusting and like all this shit.
You made me lose my job. I guarantee he said that.
Oh,
and Brady, bring up what you were telling me before recording about like the way Andy transitioned things too.
I know. It was crazy because Brittany's like crying and she's like, I was just afraid for my life. I was just afraid. And then Andy's like, well, Danny, you got a little drunk the other night. And it's like, what are we doing here where it's like someone is admitting the deepest traumas that are affecting them. And then Andy's like, hey, over here in Janet world, she had a casserole.
Well, it's not even that. It's also like, Brittany is like, he screamed at me. He did this. He broke this. He did that.
Jax, why did Brittany make you scream at her?
Yeah. Or it's like, what do you guys think about Hooters closing?
Yes, it's crazy.
I know.
I'm sorry, like, time and place.
Listen, I understand that to be in Andy's position, it is wild because you're figuring out in real time how to transition and still have this reunion, right? With very serious topics. I can relate to that because sometimes on my podcast, it's like, well, I don't want to be too serious, but what I'm talking about is very serious. So I understand there's a fine line. But it does give like that Andy is really fooled by Jax.
Yes.
And that's one thing that just irritates me because the one thing I appreciated is that Brittany said, and I wrote it down here because this was so important. Brittany said that Jax's therapist said, and I quote, "We can treat depression, we can treat bipolar disorder, but we can never treat narcissism." So I just want to explain for a hot second that this is pretty accurate, and I'm going to explain why. So the only major components needed for change is motivation. None of us change until we're ready and motivated to do so. And self-awareness, because you have to have enough self-awareness to understand how your behaviors are problematic and that sort of stuff, right? So those are the two components. Narcissistic personality disorder is hard to treat because the challenge lies in the inherent traits of narcissism, a lack of self-awareness and resistance to change. That is what composes people who have narcissistic personality disorder, right? And so that is why treatment is so difficult, because people with narcissistic personality disorder, they're rarely participative and engaged in the treatment process rage texting from treatment is a prime example of that.
Leaving the
Jax,
facility every day to go spy on your house.
And Jax loves that he can use these words. Because that's the thing. It's like, I don't know if Andy and maybe Jason are listening to Jax say words like narcissists, love bombing, manipulate, all this stuff. And it's like, oh, wow, Jax is really getting it. No, he's using it against you. He's trying to act like, I'm aware I do all these things. I'm aware. But like you said, there has not been an ounce of change.
Yeah. No.
That is what is so crazy to me, that we are on this couch. We are like 20 minutes into this reunion and we're talking about Jax taking accountability right now. Meanwhile, he's being aggressive towards everyone still. And just like, I was just like, what? How did we get here?
And here's what I have to say is that what people don't understand is accountability isn't just admitting that you're an abusive asshole.
Thank you.
Accountability includes actionable change. I'm going to repeat that again. Full accountability includes actionable change. Okay? It's not just saying, yeah, I'm a narcissistic, abusive douchebag. That's not accountability. No. That's not even self-awareness. You're just repeating what people have told you in treatment.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you know what I'm saying?
That is all that man does.
Yes.
He just repeats what someone told him in treatment.
People have this habit of using therapy words, and it disarms people because it tricks people into thinking that you know what you're talking about when you actually don't. And it's another form of manipulation that I need people to understand. There's like meta layers with Jax Taylor and his all of this stuff. It's just so insidious and so deep. Oh God, it just disgusts me.
Well, and y'all, the reunion wasn't filmed that long ago. Like, that's the thing, is like Jax loves to say this was all filmed a year ago. The season 2 now was just filmed a year ago. The reunion was just filmed a couple months ago. So he's had all this time to actually work on himself. But what's he doing now? Now that he's not going to be back, now he's stepping away. Now he's saying, I'm stepping away because I want to. I'm stepping away from my bar because I want to. You weren't making these changes when you were fucking like in the, you know what I mean? Like in the heat of season 2 filming this. So this is just performative to me. And I'm someone like, obviously, you know, my background and what I used to work in the mental health field, I'm all about, I think people can change. I've seen it before. I've seen it, you know, working with kids. Like, I've seen those moments and they're just amazing. I don't see that with Jax Taylor. And like, and, you know, and I hate thinking that. And I, you know, try to be, I don't like to think that, but it's just like, I see a man on my TV who is, he sounds like he's saying all the right things, but he's not. He's using that against people.
Well, and he keeps saying, like, even with like him saying he's sober, but he uses marijuana every single day. It's like, I know that everyone defines that differently, but if, okay.
He also said he has to.
Exactly. I use marijuana almost daily. I will not act like that's not an addiction. Like, that is something that, like, I don't know why he thinks, like, just because it's a different drug, it's not this. It's not that he's just replaced cocaine with marijuana.
I think, and I think he's taking advantage of the cultural perspective in LA of weed. Because, like,
for sure,
think about this. Everyone was raging on him about the cocaine, the alcohol, but then he was like, and weed, and literally everyone was like, oh, well, that's fine.
And it's like, can I say though, I'm so proud of Brittany, and I don't think Jax expected this. I think he had to flip his script. Brittany was very honest, and she was like, yeah, I have used cocaine before.
I tried it.
I have tried it. I've engaged in it.
What?
And what? And she did that on the show, too, because, you know, Jax was just waiting for her to say, like, I've never done, you know what I mean? Because he wants to feed off that. But and thank you, Jasmine. She goes, there is a difference between trying something and actually having an addiction. And that is what, you know what I mean? Like, that is what we're seeing. And, like, you know what I mean? Jax, like, but my thing with Jax is, what is it, buddy? Because, okay, you're saying now you're sober, but and you're saying it's not the drug, it's not the alcohol, it's my anger. I'm sorry, buddy. Are we working on the anger? Because I don't
Are we
see
working
it.
on anything?
You keep saying, like, my drug is anger. And I'm like, okay, buddy.
I'm not hearing any deep breaths.
I'm
I'm hearing no breath work. I'm seeing no tapping. I'm seeing we're not getting ourselves to a place of presence. What are we doing?
Are we sniffing the candles and blowing out the candles? Because I don't see it.
Like, I just feel like my problem is anger, and I'm going to keep doing anger.
I'm just going to rage into it.
It's like, what?
It's just like, sir, you can keep saying, my problem is anger. My problem is anger. And I just, I'm, okay, sir, cool. Like you said earlier, you keep identifying the problem and you can say it as loud as much as you want. But what are we doing to fix it? It's just excuse after excuse.
It's also a pattern of behavior. Right. It's what he's been doing on reunions since Vanderpump season 1.
It's what he's been doing since he was a kid.
Oh,
if you
that stopped me dead in my tracks, Lyndsay. That was good as fuck.
If you listen to like his sister, like this has been a pattern for a long. Like Jax is a kid that really needed early intervention,
and probably didn't receive it. But what we're talking about here, what we're talking about is Jax displays a persistent pattern of manipulative and exploitative behaviors aimed at controlling and demeaning Brittany. It is abuse. It is concerning, and just because it's being ignored doesn't mean it's not a persistent problem.
Yeah.
And because I'm not his therapist, I don't know, but it's sounding like Brittany is saying that the therapists believe that he has narcissistic personality disorder. That's the lines that I'm reading between. And if you look up what that is, he certainly does fit a lot of criteria, but I just want to be mindful about.
And you know what is a red flag? He keeps saying he keeps having to go to different therapists. I think because he's
the way I cackled when he said that.
Because I think he doesn't like a therapist that calls him out on stuff. And here's the thing about like being you, especially like, and look, Jax has said it before that he has been supposedly diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. If that is the case, it can be very challenging, working with someone who has that, just because of the manipulation component. They're going to tell you things that they think you want to hear. And just like, I have a feeling he probably has had therapists a lot that call him out, or like, let's dive into like something that he doesn't want to like get into. And then he'll just switch therapists, And so I think
1,000%, because I've treated Jax's. Let me be very clear. This is why I have a very good read on him. Because when I worked in inpatient therapy, Lyndsay, to your point, most people come in, they're wonderful people with a terrible disease, right? They get sober, they find their strengths, and they're amazing people. It was just like hidden under all of that stuff. But for every and this is not scientific, but for every 1 out of 100, it would turn out that it's like, you're just not a great person when you get sober. And for some people with some personality disorders, the substance use is more a symptom of kind of this very antisocial sort of personality. Yeah. And that happens sometimes too, where people get sober and you lift the rock up and you're like, oh, this is much scarier than we even thought under here. And then you call those people, because I'm what I call myself the antisocial whisperer. That was always my role as a therapist, is they would put me with the most criminal antisocial men, and they'd be like, here's
Melissa.
here's this bitch, try, and then this is how I would get, you have to call people on their stuff. And one time I had a guy throw a chair at me and threaten to murder me. And by the way, he almost didn't even get kicked out of the facility that I was working at. It wasn't until I said, either he goes or I go. So you can make that decision, because you're going to lose a therapist today. Like, I called my husband. I was like, this is what's going on. And my husband was like, fuck that. Quit to, unfortunately, I have a good boo, that's...
Snaps for husband.
Exactly.
Yes, we love.
'Cause he was like, no, we're not doing this. But my point is that when you have certain personalities like this, there is much darker stuff going on underneath, and it's less about the substances and more about the problematic personality traits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and did you guys clock too that he also was, Andy was, because apparently he has been diagnosed with being bipolar, and he's like, yeah, I'm on meds and they've changed my life. I have to take them every day. Otherwise, I have to take them every day. And Brittany was like, okay, but when you go off on me, you tell me, oh, I didn't take my meds today. So what is it? So are we taking our meds every day? Are we not taking our meds? You know what I mean? I also would love with Jax, this is where like my mental health brain goes. I would love because, supposedly he went to this like rehab. And I would love because, with him being on substance, they really shouldn't have like diagnosed him with anything yet until he actually comes off his, you know what I mean? Because like, is this drug induced? Is this, you know what I mean?
Correct.
So
yes,
I'm
correct.
so curious, like since then, has he actually seen like a doctor or therapist, like, you know what I mean? To really go over things to see like what, you know what I mean? Because if he did get a bipolar diagnosis, was that when he was in the height of his, you know what I mean? Like in his addiction.
Brittany did say that years ago, she and his sister begged him to get help and he was diagnosed then too. But to your point,
he was doing drugs then still.
Actually, you're right. That's a good point. You're absolutely right about that. And also though, that's not how medication works. I just wanted to put this in really quickly. It's like, if you don't take your medication one day, like that's not an excuse to behave like a monster. That's that's not at all how that works. Like chemically, physiologically, psychologically, like pharmaceutically, and there in no ways is that how it works.
But that's what my kids would do when I worked with kids who had like ADHD. They'd be like, Miss Lyndsay, I didn't take my meds. I'm like, that is no excuse. You cannot be an asshole.
Did you say that kids would use that excuse?
Yes, kids would use that excuse. So
I do. I have a couple things. So first thing is, I just remembered this part, but I have, and I don't know if this is fact. This is like experiential that I've read people talk about on Reddit. But like apparently when you have a diagnosis, like a bipolar diagnosis as a man, especially, marijuana and the effects of THC can really fuck with that specific mental illness. Is that correct?
The medicine or the mental illness itself?
The marijuana and the bipolar combined is actually really, really not.
I didn't know that.
It could be very bad.
Yeah, I want to say yes. And the answer is both. It can be bad in both ways because to your point, Lyndsay, is that it's hard to know where...
I read this on Reddit. Therapist, can you tell us the real thing?
Yeah. Thank you, ChatGPT.
I read some comments on Reddit that men did bad things when they were on weed and bipolar. What does the therapist actually think about this?
No, but it's such a valid point because as we're talking, it's hard to get an accurate diagnosis when any substance is still being used. And so to our point is that if he hasn't been off a substance and he's still using marijuana, how accurate can some of those diagnoses be? Number one, that's a real question. Number two, it is accurate that when you're putting a substance in your body with psychotropic medication, there are what's called contraindications. And
yes, I've heard that.
Yes. So a contraindication is basically like if you're on a psychotropic medication and then you're using a substance, they can counteract, or sometimes marijuana can actually decrease how our body absorbs certain medications, like physical and psychological. And so I think even though people look at marijuana like it's no big deal, a drug is a drug is a drug. And it's less important about what is the substance and it's more important about why are you using it and what are you using it for. Anything can be abused. Right? Yeah. Marijuana, not just substances, shopping, sex, food.
Nachos.
Nacho for sure, Brady. Nachos.
I've abused some nachos in my time.
And it's like, why am I abusing these nachos? What do I feel bad at? You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
and I can tell you, I felt bad about a bunch of stuff.
But it's right. It's really, and so I think it's not overlooking the fact that he is definitely not sober and that you cannot be appropriately treating something like this if you haven't ever given yourself the opportunity to be off a substance, in my opinion.
If he's on steroids, like, which Brittany brought up, y'all, like, that was the first episode. Like, that is something, like, that was the first time that was really, like, well, Stassi alluded to it in, like, that one season, but, like, Brittany just straight up asking him, are you on steroids? Like, I was like, ooh.
I also think the prevalence of steroids happening in celebrity circles or like public facing circles, or especially places like LA or in a lot of gay scenes, the use of steroids is a lot more common than I think anyone would assume.
It's not really talked about a lot, but I do think like
it's very, very common.
It's
so that's not going to help your anger,
and
dude.
most people do not realize how much the effect of steroids. And we're talking about anabolic steroids because I wanted to be clear about two things. There's testosterone replacement for men, which is totally appropriate when done by a doctor. Same thing for women, right? Hormone replacement, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about anabolic steroids, like Winstrol and things like that. I know a little bit about this topic for many reasons. But it's also very common in the recovery community where people, specifically men, they'll come into treatment and then they'll come out and they'll go on steroids because they want to feel really powerful. They want to feel really important. Because I think the thing with Jax, why he clings to this anger piece, is because for a lot of men, anger is what makes them feel powerful. And he's not ready and willing to give up his power and control. So he's almost leaning into like, this thing that makes me feel powerful is my problem. And it's like, do you hear what you just said? Like, and so I think one thing that I noticed though, is when Brittany said this, Jax said it was like a snippet in between filming that he had gained 30 pounds.
Right.
And what I had noted...
Oh my God, end of world.
No, but listen, what I had noted was he doesn't look like he gained 30 pounds of fat. 30 pounds of muscle, on the other hand, which is only something that can be accomplished through using anabolic steroids. Even like appropriate testosterone replacement, you're not going to bulk up that much. You will, for sure. But like that level of bulk is usually indicative of like an anabolic steroid, which again... no treatment provider treating someone for bipolar disorder would ever recommend because it can mimic, steroid use can mimic that sort of bipolar.
That's what I'm saying.
Just fucking his own shit up at this point.
We really don't know with Jax, like, with anything with Jax, we do not know what is the truth. And that is what is scary, and that is what is sad, and that's why I'm sure really fucks with Brittany's head. And so, you know, that's what I don't understand. Like, I feel like this reunion, they have spent, and I understand, like, obviously this was a big part of season 2, but like, you're really giving this much time to Jax to just say nonsense?
I don't know, though, because then they move on to other couples, and I'm like, I don't like what they have to say either.
I don't know. I don't like any of it, to be honest.
I'm like, can we please stop talking to Jax? And they move on to Danny, and I'm like, well, fuck this.
And it's so funny because it does make you think, when Jax is not on the show, it's like, are these characters even likable? Like Janet and Danny. But so let's move on to that Janet, since we've been talking a lot about Jax. But it's like, so you have Jessie Lally who just won't stop beating a dead horse about Michelle cheating. And it's like, bro, pull up your bloomers and move on because this is over, right? Like acceptance, you need to accept that it's over and it doesn't matter. And the only reason he's still focusing on it is because Jessie is Jax like junior, but I always say that Jessie is a little bit more charismatic than Jax.
100%. He's smarter too.
Scarier.
He's smarter, right? Like he'll cry on command because women really love to see a man cry and then they buy that bag of bullshit. But like Jessie, you know, I keep saying this. It's like Jessie's mad that Michelle couldn't say he was being at least a good dad, but it's like, you can't be a good parent if you're actively being an abusive co-parent. I don't understand what men or people don't understand about this. You're not being a good parent if you're terrorizing your child's mother. You're not.
Bet if Corey calls me a whore and he wants me to call him a good dad. Bet if those words would ever, like, no.
Exactly.
Are you insane?
Exactly.
Like his ego is so shot because Michelle. I'm not. You shouldn't cheat. You should get out of a relationship. You know what I mean? It should not get to that point. However, Michelle did. She said, you know what I mean? Like, and it's confusing because
she didn't.
Well, she said she kissed. See, that's where it's confusing. It's like Michelle and Jessie see things very, very differently.
Right.
And it's also kind of confusing because this whole time I was thinking, I don't want either of you as my realtor. Because you both are throwing out there that you fuck for houses. I mean, and so that's where I'm like, have lines got blurred and you thought Michelle's cheated when really she's just selling a house? because you're over here saying that you're going to eat pussy.
Travel
Sorry,
the
like
house.
you're going to, eat a girl out for a house to sell her a house. So I'm like, maybe the lines have got a little blurry with you guys.
That's luxury real estate. That man must have a tongue on him.
It's like, maybe we're getting a little confused with that.
Yeah.
But
Maybe it's hard to know if we cheated in our marriage because we also fuck people together so we can make money.
It's just like this weird underlying tone of like, and Jesse was like, yeah, I did say that.
She's like, why did a gay guy send you money? And he's like, we both fucked him together.
Why did a gay guy send you money?
Yeah, it's like the whole season revolves around him calling her a whore, but they're both whores to sell houses.
Apparently.
I'm joking. It's not okay.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Right.
That's why I'm just like, okay, it sounds like maybe things have gotten blurred with your boundaries.
We also just need a clean separation. We need to quit talking to each other.
Yeah, but also, Jesse, you are not like, your ego is so hurt. I think your ego is so hurt because Michelle actually left.
Yeah.
She actually left.
Jesse is full king baby territory, right? Where it's like, woe is me. How dare this woman call me on my shit and walk away and live her life and be happy? Like, it's all ego. It's all hubris. It's all ego. It's all like, that whole thing. And I just can't with Jesse. And I think with Jax being gone, it's going to be interesting next season because I feel like we're all just going to be so annoyed with these people, but we're so distracted. Like Jax is like up here, and then the rest of them are down here, and we'll see. We'll have to see what happens. But
yeah,
I wanted to talk about Danny a little bit because although this does involve Jax, I think that Jax, when he apologized to Danny for attacking him at this end party, Nia, it was totally self-serving, and I feel 100%. Like I know exactly why. Nia revealed that Jax said he didn't like his edit in season 1, and I was
insane.
Like, bro. And
he wanted to fire everyone.
He wanted to fire everyone, and he felt that Danny and Nia were protected because they received a quote-unquote good edit. So I think that Jax, I don't think he knows how to be sorry. I don't think he knows what that means.
No.
But I think this was like a Hail Mary to the golden couple to try to like get a final ally. And they were both like, nah, we're not doing that.
I know that. Yeah. I was just like, Jax, why are you wasting your time? And honestly, I only think Jax also did that is because he's seen, which y'all, I cannot relate to this, but like really people are like putting Nia and Danny on like a pedestal. And I think Jax knows that. So he's going to be like, let me come in with this apology.
Yeah.
But
that's
people
exactly
see it right through it.
It's also, I hate two men crying and being like, I see you as a brother, man. Ooh. And it's like, shut up.
Well,
like,
because it was disingenuous.
It's not authentic.
Yeah.
It's not authentic.
Like,
no.
Yeah, sure. If you hate your brother and don't talk to him, like, sure, then you're brothers.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's actually not two guys. Like, this is actually like, I've actually seen like Austin and Craig have like real like talks where like they're both like upset with each other and like trying to understand each other. This is not a moment. This is like both of you. Like this is not authentic on either end.
No.
I don't think Danny also saw Jax as a brother. Like
no, but
I think Danny hates Jax.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
They seems like they seem like they don't like each other genuinely.
Yeah.
But also the whole putting Danny and Nia on a pedestal is so wild to me because here's the thing, like no one can say what's going on with Danny except for he and Nia, right? Like no one can judge whether he has alcohol use disorder, whether he doesn't, that's between them. But his behaviors have been problematic. And that's what frustrates me is this black and white thing online where it's like protect these two at all costs. And it's like, no.
I don't have to do that. Yeah.
has inappropriately sexually touched women when under the influence. That is not acceptable. It is not okay. And it's like, Nia, here's the one thing I can tell just from working in the recovery field. Nia, you can tell she's had to spend so much of her time talking for Danny and making excuses for him. Because as soon as Andy started asking Danny questions, she's the one who answered.
Nia is Danny's PR.
And that shit pisses me off.
Yeah.
It makes me so mad to see.
Yeah.
Nia is Danny's PR. Like,
For
that is literally like what we're seeing.
She's the fixer.
And what's so sad too is like, I know a lot of people, they come for Jasmine because Jasmine seems very back and forth, but I see someone who is trying to tell us she's over it. And I think she's had to tell herself she's over it because they're on a show together. And she's really had to like bury some things. And also like we do see the clip of Danny being like, really, we're bringing this up now. And Nia, PR Nia came in and was like, well, he just thought because you guys got over, he thought you guys have, got over it and you guys have seen each other. And Jasmine was like, we've seen each other, but not in this way.
I also would have loved to seen a situation where without Nia's intervention, Danny had to answer that question.
Yes.
Why did you say that, Danny? It's like, why are we letting her? It's like, Andy, maybe this, instead of like changing the subject when someone's talking about the abuse they endured to something silly, maybe this is when you say, hey, Nia, let Danny answer.
Let her, let him
agree.
answer.
Because why is Danny here if Nia's going to talk for him?
What he would say. Because she's giving like Miss America or whatever, she was, because she's practiced in that. And I understand she's practiced in that. And I understand also she is very protective of her family. I've talked about how I believe she has scarcity trauma and that definitely right. But it's one of those things where it's like everyone has to be accountable here for their stuff. Jasmine, first of all, I definitely understand that when you couch, like, you can't say, I'm sorry, but, and think it's an authentic apology, which is all Danny's been doing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's invalidating, not an authentic apology. And then when Nia co-signs the bullshit, that's also invalidating to Jasmine, who has very real points about being in a lesbian relationship. And if she or Melissa were men, this would be totally different scenario.
Totally different.
Totally valid. But I believe that Jasmine also needs to stop saying it's okay, I forgive you, if he doesn't forgive him.
I agree.
That's her shit that she has to work on,
And I think that's what's hard with the audience, because I see people say that. And that's what I wish she would stop saying that. And that's why I think that she's trying to tell herself that. Right. But she's not there. And I kind of wish she would say that. She's like, I'm saying like, because and maybe there's a part of her that does actually want to like, forgive and move on, or maybe there's a part of her that's like, shit, we're on a show together, I'm going to have to move on. I don't know if Jasmine like actually wants to be like friends with them. I don't know, because we don't really get to know Jasmine a lot, right? Bravo has really kind of put her also in this like, this is your storyline. We have not got to know anything else about Jasmine and Melissa, which that's problematic on its own. So like, of course people are going to be annoyed because that's all we're seeing with Jasmine, because that's all like they're allowing her.
Right.
But then I also get shifting like, and with the Janet of it all, I did appreciate Nia saying, because this is where I do agree with Nia. I'm getting lost. I don't know Janet's intentions, because I understand, like, look, if these were my friends and this happened, I wouldn't fuck with Danny.
Yeah.
That is just like, I would not fuck with you. I would make it known and move on. Janet, they keep like repeatedly like bringing up stuff. Right. And I understand like Jason loves Jasmine, like that is his friend.
Yeah.
Clearly.
And I understand that. But it's like, Janet, what is your intention? Is your intention, do you want Danny off the show? Are you trying to say like, you're not going to be friends with them? Then just say that. And at some point you do have to move on.
Right. Because the thing that I think people can't put their finger on why it feels so icky what Janet's doing. But for me as a therapist, she is speaking on behalf of women who this did not happen to her.
Thank you.
She is speaking on behalf of people who aren't asking her to do that. And so inherently it can be disempowering to the women who have actually been aggrieved by Danny and his behavior. So it's like, it's none of Janet's business, but also I understand as a woman it is, but I agree she needs to pick a lane in terms of like, you're just repeating the same rumors over and over, and you're taking it outside of yourself. We'll talk about how this is impacting you, how you're feeling, instead of fighting for these other women who didn't ask you to, nor maybe do they want you to.
Just say you don't fuck with him, and that's that. You know what I mean? Right. You don't have to speak, because like, these other, Janet's saying like, well, this has happened before, and it ends with the cliffhanger of like, this happened at the Super Bowl party, and it's like, okay, Janet, do these people want you to speak for them? Because I'm going to need you to say that or something, because you keep bringing out all of these like allegations, but you're not really backing anything up. And so that's where it looks messy. And that's where I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, what is the purpose of this?
But also, isn't that kind of a rock and hard place? Because in my head, if I put myself in Janet's shoes, right, and I know that Danny has sexually harassed or assaulted other people, right, whether it's like confirmed or not, like I've heard it, I would also want to be like, you're still doing it, Danny. Like,
Right.
So I think it's like rock and hard place where like she wants people to know that Danny is doing this behavior repeatedly and in a pattern, but how do you make it known without, creating a harder life for victims who maybe don't, you know what I mean?
But why is she doing that? Is it coming from a place of she's trying to like?
I think she wants. I don't know, Jan. I don't know what Janet wants.
Well,
but like,
also,
in my
we
head,
don't know Janet. We don't know anything about her. We just know this one thing. But I don't know her intent. Are you trying to be the voice of the people? Are you trying to just like get them off the? I guess
my intent would be like, he's a really bad dude and like he shouldn't be
then
here.
At some point you have to make that choice. Are you going to fuck with them?
Also,
are you not going to be on the show and film with them?
Right.
Here's the other problem. If you're on The Valley and you have a moral standing,
you can't be on The Valley.
You literally
I was going to say, if she doesn't want to deal with being on a cast with someone who does this, like if her morals were that high, she wouldn't have been on the cast.
See, and that's where I would actually have more kind of respect in this if she was just like, you know what I mean? Like, if she were to call it out and like nothing changes and be like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't be on a show with these people.
But also, like, I don't know. I wouldn't quit the show. I'd be like, let me get my bag.
See, that's just hard to
I want to get my casserole.
Right. Yeah. It's like, I understand if this is your livelihood, right?
Yeah.
But I do think
a baby.
I do think it's right. I do think it's interesting to, you talk about all sides of this because it's like, Janet's a human. I understand. But some of her behavior has been just so ugly and so adversarial. And here's the thing. I also got stuck on this thing where it's like, so Janet was angry at Zach for the comment he made about her pregnancy, which it was disappointing because Zach did have to admit that he did say
he did not want to admit that.
No. But like Janet is then actively terrorizing Nia, who's also pregnant. And it's like, let's be careful how we're throwing stones because like you're terrorizing this pregnant woman and you're on your high horse about like Zach saying something really shitty that wasn't okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also Nia.
That's so true.
You know what?
Nia's even like rubbing her belly, being like, I think I'm going to have a contraction.
She's like, literally.
Which when she said that, I was kind of like, are you just being dramatic for cameras? Or are you actually like maybe going to have
Nia did bring up a good point because she was like, Janet, with you, like, so Janet did like bring up concerns with Nia, like off camera.
Oh.
And then Janet brought them up on camera. So like that's her thing. So Nia's like, I don't understand like your intentions. Like it's different if you were to come to me and say, hey, I am really concerned about Danny. This is what I'm seeing. Yeah. Now Nia can say all she wants. She would be like, thank you so much. I don't know if Nia would actually do that. You know what I mean? I don't know what Nia would do. But I do understand Nia like not understanding Janet's intentions. And that's why here's my thing. Like I like to have these kind of conversations. Notice how we're doing this and we're not being like, Janet is the worst human that has ever existed. Y'all, we need to take a beat because Jax's Taylor's right there.
That's what I'm saying is like, I love Janet's level of messy that is like yelling accusations at people, but not abusing.
Right.
Like that's what I love. Like, let's like yell accusations at each other. Like, let's not hurt each other physically.
Well, but also with that, like, obviously, I think Danny would maybe say these accusations are hurting him. But
I don't care though. Well, I don't care about Danny. I do hate Danny and Nia, so I don't care.
Here's my thing. I don't either, but it's also comes from a place of like, well, then let Danny and Nia like work that out with you know what I mean? Like, let's see them like go at it with each other. However, I do want next season to be different because we haven't got to know Janet really. We haven't got to know Jasmine any. So like that, and even Danny and Nia, it's like, okay, you guys have lots of children. And my theory is that they're coming on the show because they're trying to have people come to their cult church. That's just my opinion.
I think they just need money.
I think
they have 1 million babies and they need money to live.
And they just moved to a beautiful house in Santa Clarita.
They did.
Which means they're going to start being cannibals. Isn't that what Drew Barrymore
Santa
did?
Clarita
Santa Clarita Diet.
That was such a good show, by the way.
Was that Drew Barrymore?
It was Drew Barrymore.
It was.
It's crazy.
They canceled it too soon.
They did. I was so
right before the her
disappointed.
Renaissance too.
Yes.
Yeah, right before her. I know.
I really think it had legs and it could have gone somewhere else, but that's,
But she ate them.
She ate them.
Boom. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you got to watch Santa Clarita Diet because that was a good one.
Based on Armie Hammer's life story.
Right,
Oh,
exactly. So as we're kind of wrapping up here, I'm just trying to think if there was anything else. Oh, the last thing I wanted to address is that Jason's level of upset with Dani versus Jax is absolutely out of order. Like, you're
insane.
making excuses for Jax, who is actively abusing someone, and then you're calling Dani a clown. Now, I do think that it was in response to he's trying to stand up for Jasmine because I think they're really close. I think Jason and Jasmine have a real relationship. And I think to me, it was like a big brother being like, bro, you're a clown trying to do this stuff to my friend and all of that. But it just makes Jason look like ignorant.
Well,
right.
I also wonder with Jason, because I've been really thinking about this because I'm very confused about like him. He looked like he wanted to jump Dani on the couch. I was like, where? And yet he has such with Jax. I have to think like Jason really, he needs to do some inner work and think of stuff because the way that I wonder if Jason's thinking, he's seeing Jax and Jax is saying all these things, right? He's using words, he's using the terms. So he thinks Jax is being open where he sees Dani as someone who is deny. Like, that's what I'm wondering if Jason is maybe seeing that. I'm not trying to excuse it. I'm just like, is he coming from that place?
Point. I think he has some blinders on. I think
he does too.
He definitely has blinders on. And I don't think Jason is adept enough to be able to see through Jax's behavior the way that most other people are. And that may because they have an actual relationship, right? Like we said, when you have a personal relationship with someone, you tend to think, you're skewed a little bit about your perception. So I think that might be what's going on.
And that's what I was going to say too. Like if Lyndsay's Jasmine and I'm Jason and we're on a show with other people who are light friends, right? Regular friends.
Yeah.
And one of them is acting real crazy on the couch. I would probably keep my mouth shut. But if the one who hurt my friend, and if we think about how close they are, I'm guessing that Jason has seen Jasmine's true feelings, which in my opinion are probably more intense. And I think she's had to deal with more than she's letting us onto.
I agree.
But I think he's seen that. And so I put myself in Jason's shoes. And if Jasmine was Lyndsay and Dani spoke to Lyndsay the way that Dani spoke to Jasmine, I would get up off that couch and rock his fucking world. Because it's true. Like, if you think about like what Dani did to Jasmine's partner in Jasmine,
right?
Like, I would want to like fight them. Maybe.
Well, of course.
It sounds like
not physically, like obviously, but
Jasmine has said like this isn't the first time, and now she has to deal with this with someone who's on the freaking show that she's on.
Yeah,
like, and I get that. And me and our bestie Mandy, she brought up to me because I guess Jason has said before, on a podcast or somewhere that like he kind of feels like, and again, this is when I think like, Jason, you're being manipulated. Like Jax is manipulating you.
Oh.
She's like, I think I can like, Jax really listens to me. Like he really like, I can like calm him down. And they also say that Janet and Jason really love Brittany. So I think they kind of think like, let's kind of like be calmer with Jax so he doesn't take it out on Brittany. Or maybe he'll listen to us. Like, I have to think there is more to it because it is really alarming to see like Jason going so hard on Dani and not doing anything toward Jax. Like that really does like hurt my soul.
Has Jax come for Jasmine or Janet the way that Dani, has Jax hurt?
No, but that's the thing. You're right. He hasn't come for them. But if they're friends with Brittany and they've seen how he's behaved towards her, that doesn't make sense
that doesn't,
to me.
You know what? That doesn't make sense, actually.
We did kind of see how Brittany is friends with people this episode. And I'm like, I don't know if being friends with Brittany is actually.
Oh, I do. I do have to call out, like, Brittany, I understand you wanting to be friends with all. However,
that was crazy. The like three of them pointing at each other being like, I'm a friend.
Well, when Zach is actually getting emotional and having a moment, it is not helpful to look at him, be like, I love you, and like try to like not,
don't like cry, don't do that.
Like let Zach feel what he needs to feel, because I do think Brittany, she gets herself in situations where she's hanging out with them and they're all shit talking each other, and she gets looped in, and so she just like Brittany needs to just watch that, and it made me feel sad. Like, and look, I'm not a big like I love Zach over here. But you can tell, like, stop. No, he was getting emotional, and she just wanted to be like, I love you, I love you. But in this moment, you're showing love in a really weird way.
It's also really weird to me, their relationship, because it's like, okay, she's like low-key choosing Kristen, she's choosing Janet. She like keeps Zach at a distance. But then when Brittany has to work and go on tour, who does she take to help her?
Who?
Zach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but so also like, there's drama with Jared, who's kind of been featured. Jared Lipscomb, who's sort of been featured on the show. But it's funny because I have a little inside information about that, which I won't be too specific about. But apparently there's a lot of beef between Zach and Jared.
Yeah.
Because
who's the better gay?
Who's the better gay to Brittany?
Yes.
And I think there's this competitive, like on and off the show in ways that we don't always see. There's this competitive piece to people. Now Brittany is the queen bee. And now there's this competitive piece about like who's going to be friends with Brittany. And so, it's just messy.
It was so high messy. School coded of like, well, you talk shit. And Janet was like, Brittany, do I talk shit about, or did I tell you not to be his friend? And Brittany goes, actually, you did. And then Janet was like, okay, but did I say it this way? And I'm like, this is high school.
It's so funny.
And then Luke being like, okay, Zach, you do actually talk too much shit about Janet, which is so funny.
I love that.
That was so funny. And Zach was like, oh, well. Okay.
And then Kristen sitting there just like begging to get to like eat out Brittany. Like, I am obsessed. Do you guys listen to Sup? Sexy Unique podcast,
because they have they're in love.
Whole theory that
Kristen's in love with Brittany,
is madly in love with Brittany and just wants to be a lesbian with her so bad.
Don't you think if that were true, she just would?
No.
I
do.
She
wanted a baby.
I do think. I do
you
think Kristen
be gay
kind
and
of
have a baby. Hello.
Not possible.
What?
Not possible. It's 1995.
She does. Here's the thing. I don't even know. I think Kristen every season, she like targets someone who she's going to really like be their like wing. Like, I'm going to put them on a, like right now it's Nia, right? You can't say shit to Nia without Kristen coming for you. Brittany used to be that person. And so now it's Nia. And so Kristen always has to like find that person to like do that with. And it's just like, I don't know. It was just all very high.
I call it Kristen has this like Avenger-esque empathic superhero shtick that she does every season with like one person. She's like, well, I'm going to protect Nia at all costs and then just be a raging asshole because I'm trying to protect her. And it's like, that's why people make fun of her when she says she's an empath. Because I think that she is. I think she's very empathic and she sees things and understands things on a certain level. Not all do. But she does what a lot of trauma survivors do, which is takes it too far because she's moving from a place of trauma instead of from a place of actual support. But listen, Kristen, she's got her beautiful baby. I can't wait to see her as a mama. That is something I'm super excited to see. And I can't wait to see how this is all going to play out without Jax. I'm going to be excited to have Jax never be on our screens again, to let all these people like thrive and see what they're all like without him. TBD. Now, do you guys think you'll watch next season?
Oh, no. I thought you meant next episode. I was like, already
no. Next season.
Here's the thing. I will tune into season 3 for sure because Jax isn't there. If Jax is going to be on the next season, it would be 100% out for me.
Yeah.
Because he's not there, I will entertain it. However, if it's still giving me the same feeling, I will not force myself to watch it. And that's what's hard too, is I know some people like have messaged us of like, we really enjoy like, your Valley recaps. And like, I love that. But like, I have to like, it might sound silly, but like, I have to protect myself.
No,
and like,
it's not silly at all.
Well, just like, just sometimes like, we said this before, like reality TV, like shouldn't make my insides hurt in this way and shouldn't be triggering. So
literally,
my whole thing is like, season 3, here's the thing. I want there to be drama. I want it to be messy, but I also want to see them have fun. And right now I see a cast. I'm like, none of y'all are friends. Y'all throw each other under the bus like completely. And it's just like, I need like y'all to like, I want to see like y'all's real lives. And I want to see, you know what I mean? Like, I just want more of that. So I will tune in. But again, it will be very much like a episode by episode, like how is this? I'm going to be checking in with myself and how I'm feeling.
And listen, you guys are joking, but I just want to say in all seriousness, reality TV shouldn't be triggering. And if it is, then you have to protect yourself and check out. I don't care if you're a content creator, a fan. I don't give a shit who you are. I think, and I understand people, you know, people always want me to cover things too, but it's like you have to do what's authentic to you because at the end of the day, we have to be our own number one fan, right?
Yes. But did you see, y'all, at the end of this episode, they finally did put domestic violence resources?
Yeah, but did you read it?
What did it say?
Did you read it? If you're it's like, here's some resources. Like, it is like the cuntiest verbiage ever. Like, here it is.
Oh, but like listen, they felt like they had to.
It felt like that. I don't know if I just read it like that.
Secretly that we had something to do with that.
Oh,
no,
all of
serious.
us on Instagram. Yeah.
All of the content creators who had been calling Bravo out week in and week out. Do I agree that it was kind of like a passive aggressive, here, we're going to throw it up? Yeah. Is it better than nothing? Also, yes.
It is, because that one was so hard, is them just putting putting substance use and mental health resources. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It is really, though, hard to see. We are seeing domestic violence on our screen. And so many times with domestic violence, people try to tell people like, that's not what's happening, or like, you're being dramatic, or like, well, I've seen this person be great. And so to have that happen and then to see a screen with that, but like to see no resources for domestic violence, like it sounds like that's just such a small thing, but it's really impactful to have that on there, because finally, like you were saying, like, this is what this is. And like, it's sad too, because like, it makes me sad a little bit too, because it kind of seems like now, because like Brittany admitting the like him pushing her bush, now people are taking it serious, when y'all, it's been serious before that.
From day one, it's been serious.
From day one.
That's right.
And so like that, I'm just like, that kind of sucks. But you know what? That's the Bravo. We're here now. They did it. Thank you for doing that. I'm sorry, like, if that felt like pulling teeth.
Here's some resources, snowflakes.
That's exact. Yeah. Like, it just, but you know what? I'm glad that they did. And just, you know, I don't know. I really hope that like they really, not that Bravo will do this, because I don't know if Daddy Baskin can do this, but this would just be a great time to really just reflect this past season on the Valley and what their intentions are for next season, because we can't do this again, y'all.
Fair.
Agreed. Well, this has been such a hoot. I feel like 2 hours has gone by in 10 minutes. We could do 2 more hours of this, but we won't, because I respect your time. And so I've just, like I said, I've enjoyed this so much. Please let everybody know. Recap Rodeo is one of my favorite podcasts. It's one of the few that I actually listen to these days. You guys are so great. But please let people know where they can find you both.
You can find us wherever fine podcasts are sold. And by sold, I mean given to you for fucking free. Yeah. So take a listen. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, search up these 2 words, Recap and Rodeo. And you'll hear me and Lyndsay every Tuesday talk some shit about our lives, talk some shit about the news, and talk some shit about the shows we love to talk shit about.
Oh, yeah. Right now, y'all, me and Brady aren't really fucking with anything on Bravo.
That's tea.
We're talking about Big Brother.
But we are fucking with Big Brother.
So any listeners, and Melissa, if you're watching Big Brother, Brady and I have lots to say about it. So come on over.
If you want to kiki about Big Brother in a very fun way that I think a lot of Big Brother content is missing, I feel like we get very serious with Big Brother because it is a serious game. Mm-hmm. But we talk our shit and we giggle and gaggle.
Well, maybe next time I have you guys come on. Well, I've never watched Big Brother, but maybe that'll have to be our I know. Because, here's the thing. For me, when games are involved, it feels less like interesting to me because it's gameplay, right? So it's like
valid.
You know how much psychology when there's gameplay, but it still exists. So
I think you would be I think you would be shocked and delighted by how much there is to like assess in the Big Brother house, especially with the addition of live feeds and like clips that are happening live and getting to kind of go through that stuff. Oh, some interesting things are said and done in that house.
Well, you may have convinced me. So listeners, if you are loving Big Brother and you want me to cover it, let me know. But please check out.
That'd be amazing.
Lyndsay and Brady on Recap Rodeo. Also, please check out me, your Bish therapist. If you could please, for both Lyndsay and Brady and myself, leave a 5-star review. That would be super helpful. Ratings really matter, and we do appreciate it. Please give us a like on Instagram. Check out our social media. And, I hate to call it for today, friends, but this is going to be it. And so sending love to you and yours, and ta-ta for now.
Bye!
Disclaimer. Posts are not intended to diagnose, treat, or provide medical advice. Your Bish therapist is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The podcast, my opinions, and posts are my own and not associated with past or present employers, any organizations, Bravo TV, Greyheart Productions, or any other television network. The information in YBT podcast and on its social media is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat. Please do not act or refrain from acting based on anything you read, see, or hear on YBT podcast or associated social media. Communicating with YBT via email and or social media does not form a therapeutic alliance. Melissa, operator of YBT, is unable to provide any therapeutic advice, treatment, or feedback.